AI has been, I think everyone knows, the fastest adopted technology in its true form, the new FTAR, right? Which is the whole generative, now the agentic AI technology of any technology that has, hit consumers. And very quickly, within, I think, a matter of 2 years, we have passed the stage from, proof of concepts to actually deploying AI in production at scale. I think that's the reality today. Every organization is hitting that scale. But deploying AI in production at scale is not easy. It has its own sets of challenges. And today, uh, with all of you, I would be really diving deeper into your experiences, your journey, to learn what are the things that you unraveled, overcame, and what are the things that you are working with, so that it's a learning that we can all benefit with. So I'll start with you, Statri. Uh, AI, as we said, is at production. What are the top challenges that you have seen in deploying AI in production, passed from the POC?
Okay, thanks a lot, Rajat. I'm audible?
Yeah.
Okay. Uh, so, first of all, thanks a lot, audience. I think you nailed it. Business value realization, quantification remains the top challenge, first of all. Beyond that, Rajat, I was there on this AI Innovation Summit a year back. And at that time, I was saying hallucination and the model accuracy remains to be the challenge in terms of production scale-up. These days, it's not no more the problem. It's where the AI starts hitting the human behavior as well as the real world conditions. That's where the challenges start coming up while you are scaling up the production AI systems. Uh, I'll quickly talk about that. In the lab, the conditions are very controlled in nature.
Yeah.
You have network, you have data, you have people who are willing to perform, and so on. On the ground, it all changes.
That is true.
One example I'll quickly take. One of the latest AI large-scale deployment that we were trying out was trying to equip the field force with AI-based insights, decision-making, and supporting the conversations that they are doing with the retailers.
Yeah.
The challenges that we saw were more around the field force trusting the recommendations, the network being wonky, the trust in terms of AI listening to the conversations, and that to personal conversations as well, was minimal. So as soon as we start bringing AI to the equation of the overall workflows, the trust factor, the real world problems start getting into a challenge. So my take here is that AI keeps on succeeding in the labs, but as soon as we start hitting the real world, the challenges are supposed to be managed.
What's your insight, ma'am? So how do you think, Divya, what's your take on this?
No, I think totally agree. I mean, we have a similar experience, right? Where you have sales team or supply teams where, we are trying to use demand sensing, etc. Similar route to market, we are suggesting, cross-sell, upsell opportunities to our team. But what you are essentially doing is going against 20, 25 years of experience,
Yes.
right? So my salesperson on ground says, I have this relationship with this distributor or this retailer for last 15 years. I know what sells here. I know if, the brand X from competitor is on the shelf, I need to put brand Y next to it. But here is an engine which is recommending brand Z instead.
Yeah.
So how do you really change that behavior and say, just try brand C and see if, it works or not? So that's challenge number one. Challenge number two is the recommendations themselves. How accurate are they? Can I really, bet my top line on these recommendations? I think that also becomes a challenge, because one of the things, and we were discussing this, is that when you go into real life, you realize that things like very glamorous things like master data, data sanctity becomes, very, very important. Because, you might be trying to push. So I work for Diageo. It's an Alcobev company. We sell everything from McDowell's, Royal Challengers to Johnny. So in the system, you may have Johnny Walker labeled as JWRL, whereas AI has interpreted it as something else and has pushed a completely different brand as Nudge. So how do you govern it? So I think Amit's point is absolutely true in the sense that real life is very, very different from lab conditions and all the other points as well. He's selling in some, outskirts of Bangalore, working on 2G, and here we are trying to push, recommendations real time based on a picture he has taken. So we have to adapt to that.
Yeah. So trust, reliability, performance,
Absolutely.
these are very clear challenges. Another challenge that often we keep on hearing is the AI costs. Everywhere AI cost is something that we all hear, we understand that needs to be optimized. I was reading about it some time back that Uber, right? And Uber is a one of the highest tech product companies, anyways, right? They actually onboarded AI for their entire development and ended up consuming their entire software development AI budget for 1 year within a matter of a month or 2 months, right? So they are now figuring out what to do on those aspects. AI costs are very hard to predict because they are not deterministic. They are not API based. They are depending upon several factors: the number of input tokens, the amount of reasoning you have to apply to the output, and the output that gets generated. So, Mr. Marish, according to you, what are the other challenges that you see in predicting these AI costs? Have you, in your experience, suffered or faced challenges with forecasting them reliably?
Yeah. So the first and the most important thing when you govern the costing of the AIs, are you being prohibitive in experimentation versus the production cost? That is
Yeah.
the first thing one have to take care. You cannot inhibit experimentations and POCs and for use case validation for the production cost. Now coming to the production cost, most of the tools, they give you limit settings. In our practical use cases we have seen, if you set the limits on the user base and the use case base, they serve as a fantastic model to control the costs. The other thing is when you are deploying a model, so you should do a clear-cut comparison, which model gives you the best output with the least possible cost. Just going by the marketing trend, okay, this model is far more superior and you just give unlimited access. Like one of the companies you have seen last week, they were like, they consume like $500 million in just 1 month because they give unlimited access to their complete organization. So from that perspective, you have to control per user for per day, per week, per month. So those are the kind of limitations you have to factor in. But it should not be prohibitive.
How do you actually control that decision? Considering that we are decentralizing a lot of the AI experimentation, you can't do experimentation centrally. How do you actually control that decision? Okay, sure, absolutely.
Okay. See, one of the key things that is happening in the AI world is that the innovation is actually at a breakneck speed. Everyone is having a model which is better than the last. We have spoken or we have heard a lot about Mythos and multiple others as well. What we are doing or what we should be looking at doing is more as a platform approach to AI. Again, from an organization standpoint, we are not looking at getting invested into one large tech organization. So we follow a platform approach, and the way we are trying to solve the right model question is that based on the complexity of the problem that is being thrown, we pick up one of those, I think, the proven models. And we also try to see what is the accuracy that's coming out from a parallel model as well. And lastly, we go into a maker-checker mode with most of the models as well, that where the model is maybe defining a recommendation, defining an outcome, and the other model is actually ratifying the same. That's the way we are right now working on it. As of this point of time, I think we have been having a discussion around small language models as well. But I think the evolution is still happening around that. We are not overall, as I think multiple organizations, I can talk about multiple organizations that I have been speaking to, we have not evolved so much that we can actually direct a very small language model to solve out an equation rather than the large language models which are right now available in the market easily. Yeah.
Mr. Amrish, your experience?
So basically what I think is you cannot have one single dimension to keep on continuously evaluating because models, their versions, they are coming out in the market very frequently. From the multi-dimensional point of view, like what we have done is we have a team which keeps on evaluating the models, the tools, the SDKs, everything, and keeps on checking the best use case for a particular model use case. And the second is we also have automated framework which keeps on checking all the models also from a standard query. So if it passes, then it gives a feedback to my team, which validates, and then that knowledge is flown down the organization. For this use cases, these things, you can use particular models. So that's how multi-dimensional approach you have to take.
And organizations are today experimenting. Each department, each user is trying to use AI in its own innovative way, right? There is this whole shadow AI that is emerging, which I believe is far greater than earlier the shadow IT problem that was there in organizations, right? What do you think are the major challenges with shadow AI? Is it something that's going to stay? If yes, how do you still make that shadow less grayer?
I think that's a large problem that we are looking at right now. So, Rajat, for me, the shadow AI problem is a problem of data loss happening for the organizations as well. Most of these large tech companies, how do the models evolve? They evolve by learning from the users. And if a company is a listed organization, having the model to learn from data which is confidential in nature, unpublished results, etc., that becomes a large problem for the organization. So hence, it's very important that the shadow AI part or the AI proliferation in the organization has to be managed well. How do we manage it well? By going into the enterprise AI contracts rather than having an open for all AI contract, which actually works really, really wrongly from an organization perspective. We in the organization, we use AI data loss prevention tools as well. Again, we are a listed organization. We don't want to get on the wrong side of AI particularly. Yeah.
Divya?
Yeah, no, I think I agree with that. I think shadow AI creeps in, or in fact, shadow IT creeps in when there's a demand supply mismatch between central IT functions and the business teams, right? Where, because all of these AI tools are also available as a consumer option. All of us use OpenAI and Gemini day to day. So the business user knows what it's capable of. So it's not hidden. And then they feel that I'm struggling away with this Excel or PPT, etc. And the central IT team has not equipped me to do this faster. I can just upload it and get good graphics out of it, etc. So it's a demand is there, but we are not able to cater to that demand. So as soon as centrally, like Amit said, we rolled out ChatGPT Enterprise, a bulk of that problem went away, where people were using personal IDs and then uploading things, etc. And then it was overlaid with data loss prevention technologies, so that you can no longer actually upload Excel sheets or that kind of private data onto public tools. And then of course education. So we have reiterated, just like cybersecurity, just like many of the other techs, we have reiterated again and again that anything that you put out on a GenAI platform is available on internet. You please assume that. And we say that even in your private life, you should look at that. If you're putting your medical reports, your bank statements, please assume it's out there, and some AI model is learning out of it. So education, centrally making them equipped with central tools, and then a little bit of governance and control.
That's a very interesting point, Divya, and just stay with you on that. Education.
Yeah.
What are the, there are other aspects as well. You're talking about the whole value of AI.
Yeah.
Are there new job roles which are emerging in organizations that are actually, required now to actually measure the impact of AI, so that the entire AI proliferation is actually a self-sustaining, enterprise? That's the only way that the supply will be able to meet the demand.
No, absolutely. I think tech teams are now looking at very pure play AI roles on AI governance, etc., which didn't exist even 5 years back, right? But I think more importantly, if you look at the JDs that are out in the market for business teams, so look at like a demand planner role that any company would put out, you'll see that there's an entire section on digital which didn't exist. Yeah. So it will say that it's no longer saying that you need to be hands-on in Excel. I mean, that's given, job fundamental. Now it says, are you comfortable with, different models? Can you do R? Can you do Python? I've seen like supply planner, demand planning job descriptions which have these things explicitly mentioned. So I think the entire industry itself is changing. It's no longer limited to IT, really.
Mr. Amrish, your experience?
I think, like rightly said, so roles are definitely changing. Separate teams are required at the organization to govern, to control the AI. And secondly, at the field level, I think the roles are evolving more like a techno-functional kind of a thing where they have basic fundamentals, knowledge of your AI usage and other basic technologies along with their functional areas. So roles are evolving. So one has to keep updating themselves, keep on changing their profiles and move to the newer roles.
You've all been in the heart of deploying AI into various initiatives in your organization. And I'm assuming this journey must be anything between 12 to 24 months, right? For all of us. If you were to go back in time, you would have a lot of learnings. What is that one or two key learnings that you wish you'd got earlier, right? And you would have invested it earlier and therefore reached your goals faster.
I think for a successful AI rollout, the biggest thing will be to work very aggressively on the data pipelines. The better the data, your cost will be lower, the outputs will be higher, the trust will be built faster. Investments ROI will be seen much earlier. The second will be, I think, kicking in governance framework a little earlier into the phase and going case by case, not like a generic technology platform, but use case by use case and finding the appropriate platform for that use case. I think these three are the major key points one should always keep in mind.
Divya?
Yeah, I think my favorite topic on earth, data, data, data. Master data, how good is your master data? How good is your transactional data? Because ultimately all the accuracy that you can get out of an AI and really give that, edge comes out of how good the outcome is, and it's totally dependent on the kind of data you're feeding it. We always used to say in the data world, also in data and analytics, garbage in and garbage out. But now the impact of garbage out is so significant because in many cases, not only are the AI systems recommending action, but they're actually taking the action. So if you have bad data feeding into it, the action will be bad and the repercussions of it are multifold. So invest in, getting your data clean. I think that will be the
I think
most important
that
thing.
is probably for me one of the key highlights, right? The impact of the same data problem is now many-folds because now agents are going to act upon incorrect data, incorrect options, incorrect tasks, much higher priorities. They are no longer passive. That's a great point.
I'll again reiterate, data trust, the biggest challenge that needs to be sorted. People should not be coming back and saying that my Excel has a better outcome than your analytics. And as soon as you rightly mentioned, Rajat, a wrong input is equal to hallucination plus wrong output by the agent as well. I'll add in two more points. One is the organizational readiness. Over time, I think Divya alluded to that, the upskilling of the people, that AI is not going to be taking away the jobs, and ensuring that the AI outcomes are trustworthy. That becomes another big pillar for maybe a success of an AI operation. The last one is also around keeping the business case intact, keeping the workflows intact. You cannot deploy an AI solution on a broken set of processes. Yeah. Please ensure that your processes need to be intact. AI is not going to be that magic wand. It's going to be correcting everything for you. No, it's not going to be happening that way. So these three are the key takeaways from my side.
Fantastic.